I see that Libby is there, but I think she is on mute. So Libby, if you want to add anything, you will need to unmute yourself.
Hello. Yes, it was a very good experience. Everyone got a lot out of it, and Mike made sure everybody had a chance to speak, and it worked really well. But like you were saying, the group I have right now aren't as able to get together, but we were able to get together a couple of times, and one of the times we got together, we met prior to One Rotary Summit. So everyone was going to that event, so it worked out good that we could get together before that. So that was a good way to make that work for us.
Thank you, Libby. And all of you know, on Thursday night, there's going to be the opportunity to dine around Ames. There are some AGs in this 4-district, multi-district PETS who have contacted their president-elects who will be coming in on Thursday late afternoon, and the AGs are organizing going to one of the restaurants in Ames that has that's part of the Dine Around Ames Rotary bit, and so that those president-elects will have some time on Thursday night with their own AG, kind of one-on-one time before the thing kicks off on Friday morning. That may be something that you are interested in or would like to give that a try. And if you've got any questions about that, don't hesitate, either contact me or contact Susan. But it's time well spent because once these PEs start developing a relationship and a network, then they will start contacting each other through the year and develop really a good support group. So give that some try. And if you would like me to give you a couple of tried and true agendas that I used with my group, I will be more than happy to talk to you about that at PETS. Going on then, the Assistant Governor Manual is available online. You can see the website right there. I think John is pulling that up. But Carolyn, I think I'm correct in saying this. The AGs will also be receiving a hard copy at PETS. Is this correct?
Yes, they will.
Okay, and I think it's a brand new, hot off the press, with up-to-date revisions. That it's just a few weeks old since it's been printed. So for you experienced AGs, you will want to be familiar with the brand new one and probably pitch your the current one that you have. And then we also want you to be somewhat familiar when you get to PETS with the tools of the new Rotary, the district website, the My Rotary, ways to help hubs promote through social media. You don't need to be pros on that. We're not saying that at all. But if you just, and know a little bit about it, because you likely will be asked some questions. Where do I find this? How do I do it? Where can I get more detailed help? And like I say, you do not have to be the expert. There's just no question about that. You can't be, but you need to get your feet wet so that you can at least answer some of the very basic questions.
Mike, am I correct that on that Thursday night at those 4 o'clock sessions, one of them is going to be on Rotary One or Rotary.org? John, maybe.
Right. So
yeah,
on Thursday night there is a dedicated session where there's going to be a website professional doing that, and we will have time during our session as well.
So if you haven't had the opportunity to become familiar with those things, you could do that on that Thursday at 4 with some folks who really know how to manipulate that site.
And do any of you have any questions of how to do the Dine Around Ames as far as the sign up or anything like that? We've got an extra minute or two right now. We can explain that if there's anybody here that just really does not know what the drill is.
Could you explain it, please?
Sure. When you arrive on Thursday, Thursday night, there's going to be a reception. This, of course, is after your AG training. But Thursday night, there's going to be a reception with hors d'oeuvres and drinks and all of that. But that gets over at about, I don't know, 6:30 or 7 or something like that. There will be like 10 or 12 sign-up sheets, probably on easels or big poster paper, something like that, with the name of the restaurant at the top. Is this an Italian? Is this Chinese? Is this American? Is it, whatever. And then they will have listed how many spots are available for Rotarians to dine at that place. Probably 12, 15, 18, I don't know. And then if you're just going on your own, then you would just simply sign up for a restaurant that appeals to you, and there's a full address. Many times people are going to carpool. If you know of anybody else who has signed up there, contact them, and you go together. But you as AGs, if you want to select that restaurant ahead of time and then invite your president-elects to go with you for the evening, then they would need to go to that same sign-up board, or you sign up for them. So in other words, the 4 slots or 3 slots or 5 slots that you need, you make sure that you've got those reservations. And then the thing starts at, I don't know, 6:30, 7 o'clock, something like that. You're totally on your own for the rest of the evening, probably be out for 2.5 hours. Everybody pays for their own a tab, and the purpose, obviously the purpose, if you're going to be meeting with your own president-elect, you know what that purpose is. But if you can't get your president-elects to go, and just you are going to go, or just maybe you and one president-elect, then the purpose then is for you to intermingle with other people. And remember, we're talking about 4 different districts, 2 in Iowa, 1 in Minnesota, 1 in Wisconsin. And they will be at the restaurants. So you can right away start talking and networking and exchanging ideas. So that's the purpose of this whole Dine Around Ames event.
Question, Mike. This is Linda Chastain. You said, okay, I will contact my PEs and see if they're planning on coming in Thursday evening. Where do we get a list of the restaurants that are going to be offered in the Dine Around prior to that evening?
Well, I'm not sure that the list would be available prior to showing up. Carolyn might have some input on that, but in the past, when we've gone to events like that, when you arrived there on Thursday late afternoon, you would see the sign-up sheet.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. I thought you said if you want to sign up with your PEs, then select your restaurant ahead of time.
Well, when I say ahead of time, when you, because you're going to be there from 11 o'clock
right.
a Thursday, you select the restaurant that you think would probably be most conducive to your group, find out how many in your group want to go, and then you can take it from there.
Very good. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Carolyn, did you happen to have that list somewhere?
I'm sorry, I had my phone muted. It has not been given to me yet, no.
Okay.
Okay, I think Susan and John, are we ready to go on to opportunities?
We're moving right along.
Let's keep moving.
Absolutely.
Well, okay. Now, and if anybody, you have a question, interrupt us. There's no problem with that. At Ames, you will be having an opportunity to cover some of the basics of the foundation. We are going to be talking about membership. I would say that 95% of all clubs, if you ask them what some of their biggest challenges are, some of their biggest concerns, the president-elects will target membership. They want to know what other clubs are doing that have been successful. Sometimes the president-elects feel kind of lonely, or the club presidents, that it's their club only that's losing members. It's their club that is not as active as everybody else. Well, first of all, that's not true, and they need to be assured of that. But we want them to leave PETS with some good takeaway ideas for them to try when they become president. So we're talking about foundation and membership, the importance of contributing to the district newsletter, which all of you should be receiving as AGs, so you know the newsletter that we're talking about, and there will be a big announcement made at PETS regarding next year's newsletter. But see, there are some clubs who never are in the newsletter because they never submit any information, and they can go years and years and not be in the newsletter. But then there's other clubs that are in it practically every single issue. Well, we're trying to find a balance, and once a club has a half a page in full color in a newsletter, and it's the first time in 5 years they've had coverage, it just gives the whole club a big boost, and they can just pat themselves on the back. So we're really going to be pushing that. And then going on to your assignment for PETS.
Mike, I just want to point out, I know that this is on Beyond PETS, but there are going to be 2 membership meetings that Wayne Steen has put together to help clubs boost their membership and give them some tools to do that. And they're going to happen 2 different places in the state. The first one will be April the 6th. It'll be at the Steeplegate there in Davenport. It'll be at 6 o'clock in the evening. And so if you've got clubs in that part of the state and you're starting to set up a relationship with your PEs over there, I would encourage them to go with their membership chair to that meeting at the Steeplegate on April the 6th. If you're nearer to the Des Moines area, April the 19th, that same thing is going to be happening at Shive Haverly, again at 6 p.m. at night for 2.5 hours. And again, I would be encouraging your PEs, and we would also encourage them then to find a membership chair and get them active, get them to those meetings. This is an opportunity that doesn't always come out before a president takes over. It'll be before they step into their shoes as president, but it would give them a real good start and a real push to help build the membership for their club.
Thank you for bringing that up, Susan. And first of all, I want to let everybody know that the district membership committee this year is probably the most active as it has been in 10 years or more, and they are really, really working hard. Number one, we're starting a brand new club in Norwalk, and then number 2, the 2 opportunities that are conferences that Susan just mentioned. And this is not just for the membership chair or just for the president-elect or the president. It is for anybody in a club who gives a rip about Rotary Club membership. And the invitation is wide open. And based on the results of the attendance of these 2 events is going to determine whether we have one maybe south of I-80 and maybe clear out west, like in Creston or Osceola or Atlantic or Carroll or something like that. So we want you to push it. We are going to push it very heavily at PETS So, but we just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this is what's coming down the pike, and if you can show up at one of these events, it would speak volumes to your clubs that you are just as interested in their membership as they are. Okay, if there's no other questions on that, then Susan, you want to explain a little bit about the for the assignment for the Rotary Minute, or not?
I'll be glad to.
Okay.
This was a real effective piece that we used last year, so those of you who have been AGs for a year or two are probably going to remember that. But we asked every AG that was coming to the training at PETS to put together their own Rotary Minute. And when I say Rotary Minute, I say that piece of time that was most important in forming you as a Rotarian. That's what you talk about in your Rotary Minute. When it was my turn years ago, I talked about the time that I spent in Africa on an NID. Certainly it made me more of a Rotarian than any other experience that I'd had. And it's those heartfelt moments that everybody shared last year that I think brought all our AGs together first tightly, and then brought them together very tightly with their groups, because all of a sudden you step out from under your hat as an assistant governor and you're a Rotarian. So you've got a lot of time now to think about this before we get to PETS. So you're going to think about what you're going to say about why you're a Rotarian, or what's most meaningful to you about being a Rotarian. And it doesn't have to be long. In fact, we don't want you to get up and give a huge long speech. But a Rotary Minute is just that, a minute or two that talks about what's important to you. And you'll share that when we get together for just the AG training on the 9th. The 9th. And then you'll share it again around the round tables you have with your president-elects. So don't throw this one off. This is important stuff.
And remember that you don't have to travel internationally on a polio immunization or into Haiti to meet the residents of the water wells that you just built. It does not have to be that type of thing. There are people who have their Rotary aha moments that happen right in their own club. Some meeting, something has really touched them, and they just are so much more committed to Rotary as a result of that. So it doesn't have to be the biggies, but be thinking about that.
The only other thing that we really haven't talked about, and I know that you already are thinking about being in touch with your president-elects, one of the things that you want them probably thinking about even before they get to PETS is the goals that they're going to be setting for their clubs this year in foundation and membership and polio, all of those goals that they're going to be putting together. You'll want them to start thinking about that before they get to PETS, maybe even chatting with their boards about that. And certainly the present president will appreciate that this is something they need to be thinking about and doing, and work with them, share with them their goals for this year, and maybe they can then work from the goal of this year toward their goal next year. But we have had such a good reputation in 6000 of getting all of our goals in on time, and I think the reason that happens, that many people are ready for it, is because people start talking about it early. And I think that also gives your PEs a stepping off point. You know, they're thinking, oh, well, I don't start until July 1. Well, if they really don't start until July 1, they're going to be way behind the curve. So that might be one thing you want to start talking with your PEs about when you start meeting with them, is here's something you want to do first, is let's get your foundation out there, and that means the goals for what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's a good point, Susan. The PEs do not have to arrive at PETS with all of their finalized goals. We're not asking them for that, but we want them to have given some thought, review what the goals of their club are this year, and then decide how they want to build on that or change it, tweak it in some way. So many times goals are submitted without a lot of thought. It's just that the PE or the brand new president just wants to get off their plate. So what do? They just write down the very same goals that's been the goals of the club for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And when a president, with the help of his board or her board, can set goals of their own for the year, they have a lot more investment in this whole process rather than just, well, that's what they were last year, so that's what I'm going to do this year. I mean, they just don't take them real seriously. We're trying to turn that ship in another direction the best way we can.
And it can backfire in two different. Oh, I'm sorry. Who's going? Carolyn, was that you?
Nope, it's Libby. I was
Libby.
just wondering if you had some type of worksheet or something that could be used, because they can't go in yet, can they, to do the online goals? But I didn't know if there was some type of worksheet or something that we could create for them to use to get ready for having their goals decided upon.
John, are you aware of anything?
Who was just talking? It didn't come up on my screen.
Libby.
It's Libby. I'm on
Libby,
the
Libby.
phone.
Oh, yeah, Libby. Gosh, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that. That's a really good suggestion. Carolyn, is there? When do the PEs have their first access to?
I was of the impression. I was of the impression that they do have it now. That once.
Okay, John.
Yeah,
can you answer that question, John?
My understanding is that once they are activated in the system as president-elect, then they have access for the following year. So whenever the club makes the report and indicates that PE in the system, I think that they are then granted access to it as soon as RI makes the switch over. Carolyn, does that contradict anything you've seen?
I don't think RI has to switch it over. I think the presidents-elect already do have access once they've been defined with Rotary International.
Right, exactly.
That was my understanding.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Once the club submits who their president-elect will be, that activates it once they hit that switch in Rotary Central.
And it may be that they can only view them and they can't edit them yet, but I was of the impression that all club, that's a good point.
Well, I would say my suggestion would be at the very least that you encourage your PEs to know the current goals of their club and preferably print them out and bring them, because they can share those goals with other PEs, particularly of clubs that are about their size. I'm not saying to copy them. I'm just saying to get some ideas and to just start networking. And that I'm sure that they could access. And if they can't for some reason, the current president could certainly get them that information.
So one thing I'd like to interject with is that not only the current president or president-elect or secretary, anyone in the club can see the goals of the club just by going to Rotary.org. I mean, anyone in the club can see the current goals, the past goals, the trends. Everyone can access that. The second thing is that all of this is sort of a moot point until those people create an account and log into Rotary.org. So whether they've been designated or not, they can't activate and put goals in and modify the goals till they have an account created, because then the system doesn't recognize them if there's not an account activated for them. So I think that's why it's important that is assistant governors, if you have any president-elects or president nominees that haven't yet created an account and populated an account on Rotary.org, they need to do that as a very first step.
A good reminder. Thank you.
When it shows the goal, does it show where they're at with the goal? Because I think that's important. I think sometimes somebody shoots themselves in the foot. Well, I'll just take what the goal was last year, and maybe the goal last year was way too high, and so they set themselves up for disappointment, or it's way too low, and so then they don't move their club along very far.
My understanding is it should track for anyone in the club seeing it where the current goal is, especially with things that are automatically, I mean, you bring up a good point, Susan, because some things are automatically populated by Rotary International on those charts, and some things must be entered by the presidents or the secretary or the executive secretary or the president-elect, one of those 4 positions that are able to modify goals. So the really clear point to make is that if presidents don't know that they have to update those goals through the year, they aren't changing likely. Some of them will because they automatically populate, but a majority of them must be manually entered and updated by someone with that administrative access to the club website or the Rotary website.
John, could the AGs pull up all of their assigned clubs and have access to the goals?
My understanding is that, yes, assistant governors have access to not only see, view, but also edit goals. So you're able to manipulate your club area's goals or your area club's goals.
Right. Yeah. So I would encourage you people as AGs to access the goals of each of your club, you just to have them available, so that when you get to PETS, if you have a president-elect that says, well, I don't know what our goals are, I don't know what to do, and they are that proverbial deer in the headlight, you would be able to pull that out of your file and say, well, this is what your current goals are. This, we can use this as kind of a springboard for where you're headed for. I would encourage you to do that. Okay, as we are starting to wind down, now is the time for you to ask Susan or John or Carolyn or me any questions at all about PETS that we have not covered and that you would like to know before you get there.
First of all, which room are we in for the 11 a.m. session on the 9th in the Sheeman Center?
Well, that's a good question.
The building...
Carolyn, do you have...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Carolyn, if you know the room, that would be great. If not, the center is small enough that when you come through the front doors, I'm assuming they'll have room assignments. The building has little white placards next to the elevators that has rooms and schedules and such on it. So if we don't have that defined through other communication in advance, it should be self-evident fairly quickly when you enter. That being said, our district-specific session will be on the first floor of the building in one of the larger conference rooms because of our attendee numbers. And Chair Jackie Andrew had shared that with me earlier. So on Friday morning, we'll be in one of the larger spaces on the first floor in the center.
Excuse me, this is Carolyn. We are in the same room for AG training as we are for the individual district sessions on Friday and Saturday, and that is rooms 171 through 179 on the first floor, kind of in the northwest corner of the building. So when you come in, after you park on the north side of Sheeman, you'll take the walk into the lobby and you go to the right and look for room 171.
Will there be a registration table out there, Carolyn?
I'm sorry, will there be what?
A registration table out there?
No, the registration for PETS is on the second floor.
Okay.
But there should be good signage, and there will be people around there that will be able to direct us. just kind of as an FYI, of the 4 districts who participate, we typically are the largest in attendees, and even when it's in Rochester, District 6000 is very, very well represented, and we anticipate that to probably be the same case for this year too.
And one thing I'd add is, for those of you that have been to Rochester, that building and meeting space is really sprawling and very large. This one is much more compact, and it's a large space, and it's large enough to host the whole event, but for your reference, it's not as sprawling as what you had seen in Rochester, if you're not familiar with the center that we're going to this year.
This is Carolyn again. When we send out the invitation and this agenda to the assistant governors, I can include the floor plan of Sheeman with the room marked.
Thank you. That would be very helpful.
Mike, this is Gary Loss. A question about parking. I assume everybody's on their own for getting from the Sheeman Center to wherever they're staying. Is parking an issue at the Sheeman Center that we need to consolidate driving, or?
No, it's not. It's not a problem at all.
Hilton Coliseum, so you've got lots of parking.
Yeah. There's huge parking lots. And that's one reason why we chose that particular venue, is because of very, very adequate parking.
But we are on our own as far as getting from Sheeman to Conference Center and things like that.
To the Gateway Hotel? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, Tom Downs, did you want to say something? I just saw your name come up on the screen.
No, I think I should visit with you about that later. You recall that you asked me to facilitate one of the Friday breakout sessions, and the training for facilitating training. Yeah. I'll work with Susan about how I can cover both areas on Thursday afternoon.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we will make sure that you can do that. Well, any other questions before we say our goodbyes? I tell you, I just can hardly put into words how much I appreciate all of you AGs and the leadership of Susan and John Schultz and all the rest of you, that together as a team, we are certainly going to have an exciting year. And again, the PETS is the official kickoff to the 17-18 Rotary year. And welcome aboard. And we're just very, very pleased and very proud of every single one of you. So if you run into some snags, not only just between now and PETS, but even after that, contact Susan or contact me, and we will give you the support that you all so richly deserve.
For me, this is just the best stuff. Just getting to be a part of this group of people. You are a very special group of Rotarians, and it's great fun to work with you, and it'll be great fun for you working with all of us together. So I'm really looking forward to this year.
Okay, any last comments, John?
No, I just thank you everyone for attending. Thanks for your leadership to helping the presidents. As a current serving club president with the Mount Vernon Lisbon Club this year, it's been great to have the support network of the AG and to see this chain of command work for me as a club president, and it's very, very fresh for me at this moment as I'm still in the role. So thank you for everything you're doing. Thanks for attending tonight, and looking forward to a great weekend in Ames here in a couple of weeks from now. So thank you.
Okay. So it's onward and upward. We'll see all of you at PETS and Ames.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good night.